hard can this be? We're both scientists. Plug the monitor cable into the other socket on the back of the computer. No, it's worked. It's fixed. Well done. You did it. Have a seat. You'll be fine. Hello, I'm Richard Hammond. This is my blast lab. I called it that because when things go wrong, and they do, sometimes, you'll often hear me shout, blast! In a moment or two, we'll be meeting two teams of budding young scientists who will be taking part in scientific challenges and contests here in my secret lab. Although, now I've told you it's secret, it's no longer a secret. Oh, blast! Unfortunately, my SAS protection force can't be here to guard the lab today because they're attending extracurricular classes in flower arranging and they don't want to miss a lesson because it'll spoil the course. But never mind, because I have made arrangements of my own. She's an expert in ninjutsu, my Nan. She can break a brick clean in half with a head, which is quite useful when it comes to cutting the cakes that she bakes. She is, of course, my Ninja Nan. Nan, thank you for standing in. Yeah, she looks fragile. She is, in fact, a fully trained ninja. See? Nan, if you'd like to make your way through security and get settled in, thank you. Nan, turn it up! Thank you. If you'd like to make your way into security, thank you very much indeed. There she goes. Look at her move. She's so tough, she eats that cereal with the lion on the front of it. Not the flakes. The actual lion bit. Ninja Nan, are you settled into security yet? Oh, the lab rat's still in her chair. She's not going to like... No, she didn't like that. Sorry. Sorry, lab rat. Sorry. Well, she can get settled in now and be ready to guard us all. It's a great feeling of security that you get, knowing she's there. Right, we shall now meet the teams of people who are trying to get into my lab today. Let's have a look here. Come on out. Yeah, well... They say they're the yellow team, but we don't know. We can't be too careful. This is a top-secret lab. So, got some security checks here. First of all, identify yourselves by names. You are?
Lewis! Louisa! Harry!
Lewis, Louisa, Harry. Yes, that all checks out fine. Hidden talent. It says here that you can all dance. Can you?
Yes.
Prove it. Yeah, well, that's... I'd say that was a... You know, I can almost hear the music watching that. Nearly. Yeah, I'd say that was a dance routine going on there, and it's a grand finish. OK, that'll do. You are cleared through security. You are the yellow team. Come into the lab. Sorry, yellow team. It's just I can't be too careful. People want to get in here. Got to make sure you are who you say you are. Where are you all from?
Essex! And we are Team-tastic! Fantastic!
You've got your own name. You don't need it. You're the yellow team. Welcome to Blast Lab. Lovely to have you here. Now we're going to meet the bunch of people who claim to be your opposition. Let's have a look. They say they're the red team. Hold it right there. They've only got as far as security. They're not yet past Ninja Nan. That's because, well, I don't know who you are yet. You haven't proved it. Right. For the purposes of security, your names, please, so I can check them off the list. You are?
Robert! Jenny! Ollie!
Yeah, Robert, Jenny, Ollie, that checks out. Ollie, I've got your name here under hidden talent. It says breakdancing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Prove it.
OK.
Yeah, I'd say that would do. I'd say that was a bit of breakdancing. All right, you're cleared through security. Come into the Blast Lab. I believe you. You are the red team. Welcome to the lab. Where are you all from?
Devon! And we are the Explosive Loonies!
Clever name, but useless. You're the red team, and that's that. Lovely to have you here, though. These are both of our teams. It's time now for reds and yellows to go and get settled in, ready to play round one. Away you go, go and get comfortable. To help us out, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine. He is the thinking man's Rolls Royce and the gullible man's Ferrari. It is Oliver. old and rusty. Well, he is old and rusty, but at least you always know where you are with Oliver. Well, actually, even that isn't strictly true, because I took his sat-nav out and replaced it with a high-tech fact-nav system. Only thing is, because I fitted it, it doesn't always work. A lot of the facts in there are incorrect. So it's up to my two teams to decide which are true and which are false. Oliver will then give us the real answer. If it's true, he'll do this. And if it's false, he'll do this. OK, teams, this is your first chance to earn points in Blast Lab. Reds, you're going first. Here is your fact. You have to tell me if this is true or false. Recycling one aluminium can saves enough energy to power a television for 3 hours. Is that true or false? Have a chat, have a talk about it.
I think false.
Audience, what do we think? Is that true or false? Mostly, well, nearly all true. I saw a few mind changes down here, I'm not sure, but that's what the audience think. Don't just do what they say. You know, they don't always know everything. You're the experts.
Yeah, I worked it out.
Really? What are you going to say then?
True.
True. OK. Oliver, is it true or false? It is true. That's a point for the red team. That's a point for the red team straight away. Well done. Recycling aluminium saves 95% of the energy used to make it from scratch. But that doesn't take into account, I suppose, you've got to transport the raw aluminium or collect the cans. So it's a complicated thing to work out. But aluminium can be recycled again and again and again because reprocessing doesn't damage it. See? That's new stuff you didn't know. Yellows. Time for your science fact. Here it comes. You have to tell me, is this true or false? Most meteors and meteoroids are the size of a small car, such as, for instance, Oliver. Is that true or false? Have a think. Have a think between you. Audience, what do we reckon? Is that true or false? We're really splitting the audience this time. There's a load of false down there, a load of true. I reckon it's about half and half. Have we come up with an answer?
False.
You reckon it's false? Does anybody know the answer to this? Have we worked it out? Did anybody have any information that helped?
No, we just voted.
We just voted. You voted? I like that. So it's a team decision. You're all agreed. False. Oliver, is it true or false? Tell us more. It is false. That means a point to the yellows as well. Most meteoroid particles are actually quite small, ranging from a small grain of sand to a pea-sized pebble. They don't sound very exciting when you say that, do you? Think of them crashing to Earth. Ah! And it's a small pea. Not as dramatic, really. No, not very good for films. Right, the third question. This one isn't a true or false. This is the one that I want you to answer. Write your answers down on the boards in front of you. Have a good think first. Right, here comes the question. The Atlantic Ocean is increasing in width every year. But by how much? Audience, anybody here got a clue? Anybody have any idea about them? I can come and ask you using one of my inventions that I made here in the lab. It's a boot, I know, rather a stylish item, but it's combined with a microphone. Very, very high-tech, and it works.
A kilometre.
I'm not going to give you the answer. Any ideas? Boys?
3 meters.
3 meters? I'm thinking I might give the audience and the teams a clue by telling you that the answer is going to be in centimetres. Audience, what do we reckon? Any idea?
7 centimetres.
OK, any other idea? Anybody else? No? Anybody got a clue? We have
50 centimetres.
You're just naming numbers. OK, well, we have stumped the audience. I don't think I've seen that happen before. So, teams, have you written an answer down? Yellows, you've agreed on an answer. Reds, have you agreed on an answer?
Yes.
OK. Show us your answers then. The Atlantic Ocean is increasing in width every year by... The Reds say 90 centimetres. The Yellows say 100 centimetres. So we're both going for around about the metre mark. I can tell you the real answer is 3 centimetres every year, which means the Reds take the points. And the score then is 2-1 to the Reds after the first round. That's all to come, but right now it is time for Mini Science. This, of course, is a round where our team use ordinary, boring household objects to conduct extraordinary scientific experiments. Now, to help with this, I wanted to bring back my old science teacher from school, so I invented a time machine, and it worked a bit too well, as it turned out, because she came back as a 10-year-old. I'm talking, of course, about Mini Miss. And you really are my science teacher from school.
Oh, yes. I spent 7 years trying to drum science into your little brain, Richard.
Yes, miss.
It was a horrendous experience.
Sorry about that one, miss.
Get that in a hurry.
Sorry, miss. Right, it's time for Mini Science. What are we doing today?
Today we're looking at the Archimedes principle. This means that for something to float, it has to displace its weight in the water.
OK.
So the size and weight of an object can determine whether it will do this or not.
Miss, can I demonstrate this?
Yes.
I've worked something out here. Right, I have here some modelling clay that I've formed into just a shape. Now, this, if I put it in the tank here, floats. And what it's doing there right now is what the Archimedes principle says. It's displacing, it's pushing away an amount of water that, if you took that amount of water, would weigh more than the lump of modelling clay. It's just the shape that's doing it. If I change the shape, turn it into just a lump, this is exactly the same lump of modelling clay. It weighs exactly the same as before. The only thing that's changed is the shape, and the way that will work in the water, dink, it sinks immediately. It's no longer pushing away, displacing an amount of water that's equal or more than what it weighs. That's all correct, isn't it, miss?
Yes, that's correct.
I worked that out myself, miss.
The team's going to be testing different objects to see if they sink or float. They have 6 objects to choose from.
They are a small orange, a magnifying glass, a tennis racket, a rolling pin, a melon and a sieve.
And the teams have to take it in turns to choose objects which they think will float and test them by dropping them in the water.
OK, so that's the game, teams. You've got 6 objects in front of you. Those are between you all. So each team chooses an object. You then bring it over here to Archimedes' very own bath that we have here in the blast lab. Then put it in. Then it's the moment of truth. We'll see if it floats. If you're right, great, because the winning team is the team to choose the number of objects that float. Reds, you're ahead right now on points.
Yep.
So you get to choose whether you go first or second. I'll give you a little bit of time to think about that. Reds, you going first or second?
First.
You're going first. OK, well, step up, have a look at the 6 objects. Reds, have you made your decision?
Yep.
Which object are you going with?
Six.
This mesh here. Lab rat, in you come, please. Let's mark this up for the Reds. Right, if we have that marked, Reds, step forward to Archimedes' bath, and let's see if it floats. So this is our first of 6 objects. Jenny, good luck. That didn't work at all, did it? Bad luck. OK, if you'd like to go back, Yellows, it's your turn now. Probably the surprising thing here is just how much water weighs. Heavy old stuff, water. So that shape needs to be a shape that will push away quite a lot of it when the object itself doesn't weigh that much. It's about shape and weight. Yellows, have you made your mind up?
Yes.
Reds, you can't choose your object until they have.
Not really heavy.
I tried that high. Do you want to go? You want to go rolling pin? I'll go rolling pin.
You're going with a rolling pin. Lab rat, let's have this marked up for the yellow team, please. OK. Lewis. Archimedes' very own bath. Take your time. Take your time. Are we ready? Here we go, audience. Will it float? Yes, it does. And you can see there it is displacing water that weighs more than it. Right. Yellows, you're 1 up right now. Reds, it's your turn to pick an object. You've already chosen straight away.
Yeah.
Is that a tangerine or a satsuma?
Don't know.
I don't know either. It's one of those. It's a tangerine or a satsuma. Lab rat, can we have that marked, please? Oh, no. That's not worked at all, has it?
No.
Maybe it'll float back up. Swim, little tangerine. No, it's sunk, Oliver. Bad luck. Back to your team. Yellows. You made your decision? Magnifying glass. Why? What about it do you think will cause it to float?
I think it's like if you half it, it's symmetrical and it'll balance the weight out.
It is symmetrical, yes. Well, it's symmetrical that way, yes. OK, Lab rat, let's have this marked up for the yellow team. Yellows. If you get this, if you think about it, there's 6 objects. So if this one floats, you've won. This is a decider. If this floats, the yellow team has won. If not, we'll have to find out. OK. You see, It didn't even look for a second as though it was going to float. And that's yellows. That then weighing more than the amount of water it displaces and sinking. Right, reds. Reds, you need this one. It'll keep you in the game.
It's going to sink.
Made your minds up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going with?
The melon.
Who's going to do it?
Me.
Robert. You're feeling very brave. You're happy to volunteer. Labrat, can we mark this up for the red team, please? The Reds then need this to stay in the game. They lose this, it's all over. So this is another critical moment. You need this to even stay in the game. OK, hang on.
It floats.
I'd say that was floating. Reds, you're still in the game. Well done. Back over there. Yeah, I think, why not? So, yellows, would you like to choose the tennis racket, or the tennis racket?
I think we'll go with the tennis racket.
I think that's a brilliant idea, Lewis. I think well chosen, well chosen. Labrat, can we mark it up, please? If this floats, you've won the game, you take the point. If it sinks, it's a draw. Doesn't make any difference, no points anywhere. Let's not put it on top of that one. Let's keep this clear. You need a clear bit of the bath. Good luck. And it is floating! Yellow teams win and takes the point. Well done. But it is surprising to see which materials float and which ones don't. And that's got me thinking, could my lab rats make a boat out of something you wouldn't expect? I don't know, cardboard.
Location, the picturesque county of Warwickshire. The aim, to construct a boat out of cardboard and make it float. Obviously, rivers can be extremely dangerous. You should never try this yourself. And here at Blast Lab, we take health and safety very seriously. So we've got a highly trained lifeguard close to hand.
Some people stand in the darkness, afraid to step into the light.
Under Ninja Nan's strict supervision, the lab rats set about turning a pile of ordinary cardboard boxes into what looks a bit like a boat. The reason boats float can be explained by the Archimedes principle. For our boat to float, it needs to displace, which means push aside, a volume of water that's the same or more as the weight of the boat. However, this usually relies on the boat being made of a waterproof material, like metal, plastic or painted wood, not cardboard. In any case, their cardboard boat is now finished, and all that's left to do is launch it, jump in, and see if it floats.
Hold the experiment right there. Now, the scores right now are a draw, 2-2. So I think there's another point in this. I'm going to ask you a question, both teams. Let's see how you do for this extra point. And the question is this. Will the cardboard boat that the lab rats built float for 5 minutes with 2 lab rats in it? Have a think, have a chat, have a think. Audience, what do we reckon? I'm going to come and talk to you using my amazing microphone boot. Could be for sale in shops near you very soon. Any idea? Whisper with.
No.
No. Right.
No, because 2 lab rats will weigh more than the boat and the boat will sink.
So you think according to Archimedes' principle,
Yeah.
it won't be able to displace water equal to its own weight and bink, it'll sink. So you think it's Archimedes that'll defeat their cardboard boat? Anybody?
I think it might sink because the sellotape that they stuck it with might lose its stickiness.
Sticky tape won't be sticky. Oh, just fall apart.
Yeah.
So you think the tape's going to let go? You think Archimedes is going to defeat them and it'll just not displace enough water and it'll sink? OK. A range of theories from the audience. This is a brilliant invention. It's a boot. Right, teams, have we both come up with answers? Both teams. Have you agreed? You all agree? Yellows? Reds, you all agree on your answer? Spokesperson is going to be Oliver and Lewis to give me your answers, so you can't change them. Oliver, what is your answer? Do you think it will or not? As a team.
We think it's going to float.
You think it's going to float for 5 minutes with 2 lab rats in it? Yellows.
We think it's going to float as well.
OK. As long as you realise both teams that'll cancel out the point effectively, we'll go on to the next round as a draw. Let's see what happens.
Remember, these are nautically trained lab rats. Don't try this yourself. And, incredibly, it does float. And our lab rats are able to cruise the open seas with ease.
It worked! It actually floated, which I think is worth a round of applause for the lab rats, actually. Well, all right, let's not overdo it. I mean, they are lab rats, not too much praise for them, but it did work. So, yeah, point to both teams. Scores then 3-all. Time for us to move on to the final round. And for that, both teams, you need to go and get changed into your protective outfits. Go and get ready. Away you go. While they do that, it's worth sharing, audience. Yeah, it worked for 5 minutes. But then it turns out there are a few problems associated with making a boat out of cardboard.
Nothing lasts forever. Eventually, the cardboard begins to weaken and leak water into the boat. And before long, we have a genuine case of lab rats leaving the sinking ship. And Ninja Nan's long since gone. She's back home watching Strictly Come Dancing. So it's up to the lab rats to save themselves.
Yeah. You see, you leave them on their own for an afternoon, they have an idea, and that's where it gets them. Right, it is now time to move on to the Messy Messy Mess test. Which today is the Gungy Bungee, featuring my Blast Lab catapults. Now, I did originally design and build these for airborne cat transportation, but it really didn't work. Here's the game then. Teams, you've got to get as many of these pods, featuring the names of prizes on them, across the tank. This being Blast Lab, there is, of course, a twist. You may have noticed a team member from each team standing in the tank of hideous, unnameable guns. You all right in there? Quite comfortable? Good, good. Now, you'll notice this tape stretched across the tank. This is for your own safety, because I spotted something moving in there earlier on. Big! Really big. A lot of teeth. So this tape, I'm sure, will keep it back. Do not go past that tape, all right? Beyond that, at the other end of the tank, is the prize zone. And that's your target, teams. You've got to get as many of these prize pods using the catapults across the tank, past the opposing team member and into the prize zone. The team to get the most prize pods into the prize zone will get to take home all the prizes written on them. The losing team will have to blow theirs up. It's just the way of it, OK? As it's a draw right now, scores are even. You're both starting at the same time. You have some time to get as many prize pods across the tank and into the prize zone as you can, and that some time starts now!
Away we go, with both teams starting at the same time. Yellow's first to get the prize pod to the catapult.
Like any other artillery, it takes time to zone in and find your target. Right now, I think they're getting the range, checking the elevation, and Reds have got the first prize pod in the prize zone.
Oh, and another one for the Reds just makes its way into the prize zone. Yellow's still trying to find their range, but in goes another for the Reds. And look at that! Yellow's getting an amazing amount of height on that shot.
Some great deflection work going on from the red team player in the pool there. A yellow one was about to land in the prize zone, but they batted it away. It's mean taking pleasure from that, but I did.
Yellow's still not quite finding the range. However, Harry, the yellow blocker, is really lobbing the prize pod straight back to the firer. Good tactics, that. And yes, it's working as another prize pod goes in for the yellow team. The Reds look to be still ahead, but the Yellows are starting to come back into this one. And yes, another one drops into the prize zone for the Yellows. And another. It could be anybody's, this game. There's firing, prize pods, blocking, unspeakable guns. It's all going on in there. I think the only thing that'll decide this is my sometime random indicator invention, which, by my calculations, should be soon.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Game's over, game's over! Everybody stop right where you are. That made quite a mess in my lab. Yeah, right, let's find out which team has won. Down to the prize zone, my two lab rats have been counting them up. OK, lab rat here, how many for the yellow team? 4 prize pods for the yellows. And for the Reds, how many have we got? 8 for the Reds, that means the Reds are the winners! Well done, Reds, so the yellows. Right, let's now find out, Reds, what you've won. Ninja Nan, ready? You get a super cricket kit, a science magic set, A lunar eclipse bedroom light. A disgusting digestion kit. An MP3 player. A horrible science book. A brain teaser jigsaw. Electromagic kit. There you go. Those are your prizes. Reds, all coming home with you. Yellows, this is the less than easy bit for you because this is what you would have won. An electromagic kit. Yeah. Super cricket kit would have been nice. Yeah. MP3 player. Yeah. You don't like that? Lunar eclipse bedroom light. But instead of taking them home, the yellows are going to blow them up because it's time for B-Day Goes Bang! Well, it's that time again. Here we all are, red team, looking quite happy, actually. If I can see you past the enormous pile of prizes. Well done, Reds. You played very well. Very well there. Yellows, how are you feeling?
Disappointed.
Yeah, that's the sort of mood I'm getting off all three of you here. What went wrong in that game, then?
I just think you could have done better at the aiming and...
It's not easy, is it? You've got aiming and to get the right pair, and still, never mind. Because, well, here we are. Before I moved my exploding B-Day down here into the lab, I used to make a real mess of the ensuite, but now it's here, I can use it as much as I like. So here we go. Your prizes are in there and ready. Who's pushing the plunger?
All of us.
You're going to share the blame. Oh, I think that's best. Right, we'd like to step forwards and lift the plunger up into the firing position. Lift it up. There you go. Right, we're all going to count you down. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Yellows. Well, that's it for another show. Today we've learned about buoyancy. Just remember, if you do want to test things that float, it is probably best to steer clear of your mum's best china. Well, I don't know. See you next time.
Blast Lab was recorded before a live studio audience. No lab rat was harmed during the filming, except the work experience one.
Welcome to the Cartoon Works. Come inside to see CBBC's top cartoons and get a sneaky peek at some new stuff. But that's not all. We've got a whole factory to explore. Let me show you around. There's loads of games in our production line. If you're good enough and you spot all the hidden clues, you might even get to be boss. The Cartoon Works needs new recruits. Come and join us at bbc.co.uk/CBBC.
I made it.
On my CBBC, I can make my own den just the way I like it, with posters, gadgets, and smelly socks. Whoa, I shared it. I can invite friends to see my den and send them a monkey, a milkshake, and a pair of pants. I get it. My music, my top 5, and messages are all here.
I love it!
My CBBC. Make your own space online at bbc.co.uk/CBBC.